In March 2026, Margot Robbie walked into the Chanel show at Paris Fashion Week with a new haircut and sharper look. Within hours, everyone was talking about her weight, all of it diagnosed from paparazzi photos, with zero evidence. This is the woman who starred in the highest-grossing film of 2023, yet the loudest conversation about her is still her body. But here's what no one is talking about. Margot Robbie spent a decade trying to escape the hot girl box, and the one project that should have blown the lid off it only handed the world a billion-dollar permission to put her back in. So much so that her first film after Barbie would go on to make only $20 million on a $45 million budget. To understand what Barbie did to Robbie, we need to go back to who she was before the pink box and how deliberately she was building an escape route.
I can't wait to tell all my friends this. And then I was like, nah, and just walloped him in the face. And it was dead silent. And then they just burst out laughing. Leo and Marty were laughing so hard. They're like, that was great.
We first met Margot Robbie in 2013 when she walked into Martin Scorsese's audition for The Wolf of Wall Street, improvised slapping Leonardo DiCaprio across the face, and stunned the room into silence. Scorsese cast her on the spot, but almost overnight, the industry decided what she was: the hot girl, Naomi LaPaglia, blonde, untouchable, and built for the male gaze. Her first wave of press profiles talked overwhelmingly about how she looked, not what she did on screen, and she'd recognized that trap immediately.
An actor I worked with, a male actor, gave me a book called Why French Women Don't Get Fat. And it was essentially a book telling you to eat less. He gave me a book to let me know that I should lose weight. I was like, wow.
Because it had started even earlier than that. Robbie later revealed that very early on in her career, a male actor she was working with handed her a book called French Women Don't Get Fat, essentially a manual telling her to eat less. Her reaction? Whoa, F you dude. But the message was clear. That's why her next 5 years were a deliberate escape plan. I, Tonya earned her a Best Actress Oscar nomination. But even the praise came body first. Reviews led with how unrecognizable she looked, as if the transformation mattered more than the performance. So she took a near-invisible role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, barely speaking on purpose, then kept reaching for serious, strange, challenging work with Babylon, Dreamland, and Amsterdam. All of it flopped at the box office, but all of it proved the same point. Amsterdam and Babylon alone lost studios well over $100 million combined, and by late 2022, social media had branded her box office poison, the most toxic label in Hollywood. She had 2 Oscar nominations, yet no proof she could open a film as a solo lead. But she hadn't just been picking different roles to outrun that hot girl label, because she'd been building infrastructure the entire time. Back in 2014, at 24, Robbie co-founded LuckyChap Entertainment with her husband, Tom Ackerley, and 2 friends, operating out of a shared house in London. The company's first major production, I, Tonya, won an Oscar, and its second breakout, Promising Young Woman, won another. She was proving she could build hits without being the face of them. Every serious role, every producing credit was an argument against being filed under Hot Girl Who Can Act. The problem is, Hollywood doesn't accept that filing appeal. The industry has a specific box for women like Robbie, beautiful actress who can do serious work. It sounds like a compliment, but it isn't, because the box means your body is always part of the conversation, no matter what the work says. And this is exactly what she walked into when she said yes to Barbie. The numbers looked like a victory, but they weren't, because she didn't just star as Barbie. She co-produced it through LuckyChap. The project had been stuck in development hell for over a decade, bouncing between 3 studios, before Robbie pitched herself to Warner Brothers and took control. In meetings, she compared pairing Barbie with the director she handpicked, Greta Gerwig, to dinosaurs and Spielberg. Great filmmaker, great IP, and jokingly predicted $1 billion. Everyone around her told her not to do it, and she later said that everyone's facial expression was telling her the same thing. Oh, but you've done so well. Don't ruin it now by trying to make a Barbie movie. but she did it anyway. On July 21st, 2023, Barbie opened to $162 million, nearly double projections, and went on to gross $1.44 billion worldwide, the highest grossing film of 2023 and the first directed solely by a woman to cross $1 billion. Robbie earned an estimated $50 million, and Forbes named her the highest paid actress in the world. This was supposed to be her declaration. I am not the product, I am the architect. But Barbie did something else entirely. Something no one predicted and no amount of box office success could fix. It activated body surveillance at a global scale. During the press tour, online forums debated whether she was thin enough to play a doll. And that conversation never stopped. When she got pregnant in 2024, comments flooded in. Her body is ruined. Too fat. We've lost a legend. Even growing a human being became a public weigh-in. By March 2026, Ozempic accusations had taken over, strangers diagnosing her from paparazzi photos because she looked thinner than she did a few weeks earlier. The cruelest part was that even her defenders were still issuing body verdicts. Because she doesn't need Ozempic is still a conversation about her weight. That's the trap. When you become the face of a doll designed around an impossible body ideal, every weight conversation routes through you, automatically, permanently, and what it cost her is worse than anyone realized. Here's the part nobody talks about, because everyone was too busy celebrating a box office record to notice what was happening to the person who made it. Ryan Gosling played Ken in the same film. Zero Ozempic speculation, zero body surveillance, zero discourse about whether he was fit enough to play a plastic doll. DiCaprio has headlined billion-dollar franchises for 30 years, and nobody has ever assigned him a weight narrative. The rule is simple, and it's never been stated plainly enough. When a woman is the franchise, her body is the franchise. And that rule nearly broke Margot Robbie's career. Because during the Barbie press tour, she'd said something that sounded like a joke but turned out to be a prophecy. Everyone's probably sick of the sight of me for now. I should probably disappear from screens for a while. And she did, for over 2 years. When she came back, the numbers told the story. Her first film after Barbie was A Big Bold Beautiful Journey, released in September 2025. It made $20 million worldwide on a $45 million budget, 37% on Rotten Tomatoes, a confirmed bomb. The audience that showed up for Barbie in record numbers didn't follow her. They'd bought tickets to an event, not to a performer. And that distinction is the difference between a career and a moment. The 2-year gap between Barbie and that flop was the longest absence of her A-list career. And whether that silence was a choice or a retreat, it was deafening for a woman who had just led the biggest film of the year. Meanwhile, the role did exactly what the industry wanted it to. It collapsed 15 years of range into one image. After Barbie, Robbie equaled an aesthetic: blonde, pink, Barbiecore. Her decade of serious work, the Oscar nominations, the dramatic pivots, all compressed into the doll box. And the industry's offers going forward confirmed it. Chanel No. 5 face, The Sims movie, the Ocean's prequel. Not the kind of complex character-driven roles she'd spent a decade chasing, but the kind that needed her image, not her range. On top of it, the Oscar snub had already set the tone. On January 23, 2024, the Academy nominated Ryan Gosling for Best Supporting Actor for the same film. The same frame, the same press tour, the same pink. While Robbie got nothing. No nomination, no mention. Gosling responded within hours. There is no Ken without Barbie, and there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. Even he could see it. And America Ferrera, nominated for Best Supporting Actress, named the mechanism directly. She said, "People got fooled into thinking that the work seems easy because Margot is a magician whose skill is invisible. But the system that exists to reward performance looked at what Robbie did on screen and decided it didn't count. And when the work is invisible, all that's left is the image." The body policing didn't just follow her off the red carpet, it created the conditions for everything that came after. The flop, the silence, the typecasting. The same system that turned her into a brand turned her career into collateral damage. And most careers don't survive it.
I can follow you like a dog to the end of the world.
Fall in love.
Are you feeling quite right?
What? Oh, yes, fine.
But here's where the story turns, because Robbie didn't just sit inside that box and wait for someone to let her out. In February 2026, she came back with Wuthering Heights, dark, literary, costume drama, directed by Emerald Fennell. The deliberate unbarbieing of her image. It opened to 34.8 million domestically, the biggest debut of the year, and climbed past 236 million worldwide. Proof she could still open a film. But even the escape route was compromised. Critics called her woefully miscast, at 35 playing Catherine Earnshaw, a character who dies as a teenager in the novel. The Guardian gave it 2 stars. The New Yorker described her as a paper doll version of the character. One outlet even ran the maths. She was literally twice the age of the role she was playing. The irony was brutal. She went from playing a character who never ages to being told she was too old for her next one. The body scrutiny hadn't stopped. It had just changed shape from weight to age. Even running in the opposite direction led back to the same place. However, something shifted during that press tour. She told Vogue Australia she has never once been on set and thought about what critics will think. She makes movies for the people buying tickets, not the people writing reviews. This wasn't the gracious Robbie who had told cameras there was no way to feel sad after the Oscar snub. This was someone who'd stopped asking for the industry's approval. Then, on Oscar night 2026, exactly 2 years after the Barbie snub broke the internet, she wasn't in the building. No nomination, no presenting role. The woman at the center of the biggest awards controversy in recent memory had simply moved on. Then came the haircut. Days after wrapping the press tour, she showed up at the Chanel show in Paris with a blunt bob. The long blonde hair that had defined her from Barbie through Wuthering Heights, gone in one cut. Media called it kissing Kathy goodbye, but it read like something bigger. A woman physically cutting away the version of herself that Hollywood kept measuring. Behind the scenes, LuckyChap is expanding. A first-look deal with Warner Brothers, an international venture with Media One, over 20 projects in development, and films she doesn't star in. She's deliberately stepping out of frame because the only way to stop being measured is to stop being the thing they measure. Margot Robbie didn't almost lose her career to a bad movie. She almost lost it to a good one, a billion-dollar success that proved Hollywood's worst instinct, that a woman's body is more interesting than her work, and that a franchise will amplify that instinct, not correct it. She didn't lose to Hollywood. She lost to the version of success Hollywood decided she was allowed to have. And the only way out wasn't a comeback film. It was becoming the person who doesn't need one. That's not a tragedy, that's a strategy. And it took a billion-dollar trap to make her see it.